Imagine this. Your wife has just had a baby. The two of you are so excited to bring him home, and just when you're ready to leave, the nurse says there's a problem. Now, this is the worst thing that a parent can hear while expecting to bring a baby home from the hospital. In fact, we didn't leave the hospital for an entire month. I'll tell you why we were there for so long in a minute, but I want to set this up first. At some point as a father, you realize something that nobody really prepares you for. Nobody's coming to help you. Not your parents, not some guide, not some perfect system that you can follow step by step. And when that hits you, it changes how you see everything. Hi, my name is Bruce Pelton. I'm a father of 3 boys, and I've spent years figuring out things the hard way. And this is one of those situations that might not be one thing, it might build over time. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. For me, this really started to set in when I realized I didn't have the kind of support system that people always talk about. You hear it all the time. It takes a village to raise kids. Well, I didn't have that. My father had already passed away when my oldest son was just about 9 months old. And even before that, my parents lived halfway across the country and they were divorced. So even if they wanted to help, they couldn't be there in the way that when people imagine and they talk about a village helping. And at first, you really don't think about it like that. You just do what needs to be done. You go to work, you come home, you take care of your kids, you just keep moving forward. But over time, I started noticing something. You start realizing that there's no one stepping in to give you a break. There's no one there to show up and say, hey, I've got this. Go take some time. There's no one handing you a roadmap saying, here's exactly how to do this when this happens. And that's when it starts to feel different. And here's where I started to understand that reading books doesn't replicate real life. You can read all the books in the world on being a better basketball player, but none of that really replaces the act of doing it. You need time practicing, dribbling, shooting, and the stress of being in a real game. None of that replaces the actual moment, making decisions in real time and living with the outcome. Because raising kids isn't something that you can study your way through. You learn by doing it. Day after day, year after year. And when you combine that with not having the village of people that people talk about, that's when it really hits you. This is on me. So getting back to the hospital. When you're a parent, you have this vision in your head of how it goes. You go to the hospital, she delivers the baby, and you bring the baby home. The two of you have had 9 months to plan a new life that includes getting clothes, diapers, cribs, strollers, and all the things that you need to raise a baby, including a car seat to bring them home. Well, what goes through your mind when you realize that the car seat that you carefully placed in the back seat of the car will be empty for the ride home? Mind you, this is our second son, so we've been through this before. We were excited to have his older brother meet him. But we were told by the doctor that our son had a slow gastrointestinal processing issue and it was making his stomach swell. They thought it might be the peristalsis action of his intestine. So imagine the intestine working the way a golf ball would move through a garden hose. His stomach was processing, but when it moved lower, his body wasn't expelling air or literally anything else. It was scary. For 30 straight days, we lived in the pediatric ICU with him. I'm talking about wearing full gowns, scrubbing up, wearing gloves. It was tough. We saw kids come, we saw them leave, and had this been our first child, I would have lost my mind. Just because of all the unknowns and the what ifs that goes through your mind. And it's at this point that I realize as a father, nobody's coming to save me. I have to do this all on my own. Not in a feel bad for me kind of way, but with a real understanding like there's no backup plan here. There's nobody coming to step in if I don't get this right. And then that realization changes how you show up for your wife. See, I had to be the strong one for the both of us. I had to be the center that we drew strength from. And you stop looking for perfect answers. You stop waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. Because you start trusting yourself more. Because after 30 straight days in the pediatric ICU, we thought we were going home tomorrow. Every day was a little bit of good news, but we had to stay another day. That kind of up and down, mentally and physically exhausting, not knowing what to tell the rest of our family or when we were returning back to work or just even wrapping our own heads around when we were going to be leaving. It was a mental roller coaster, and I had to be the strong one. I had to be the one that said, that's not really what the doctor said, or let's not jump to conclusions. I had to become the grounding rod so that we could get through it. And as a young couple, it was tough. I wish my parents would have been there to just reassure me that things would work out. Because at some point you realize the only person that's coming to save you is you. Because being a father isn't about having all the answers, it's about showing up anyway, even when you don't have the answers. It's about making the best decision that you can with what you have, and then doing it again the next day. After a month of that little boy being in an incubator, all jaundiced looking and tubes sticking out everywhere and being treated like a pincushion, it worked itself out and we were able to leave the hospital with our little boy, but we found out that the milk proteins weren't compatible with his gut enzyme, so every time we tried feeding him, it was making him worse. I think in a way my wife really had the worst experience through it all. Not only did she not get a chance to take him home, but she found out that the little baby that she created wasn't compatible with her milk. She was devastated. Those are the little things that nobody prepares you for. How am I going to process these feelings in the moment? We all plan for what we think is going to happen, but nobody prepares you for the curveball that life throws at you. So, what happened? Well, the hospital found a synthetic formula made in Germany that contained all the nutrients, but none of the milk proteins. It was like, I don't know, $500 to $800 per container. And in the end, it worked out and we brought him home, but it was one of the scariest things that I've ever been through as a young parent. And if you're a father going through that right now, feeling like you're carrying on more than you expected, like you don't have the support that you thought you would, that you're not alone. A lot of us are going through it. We just have a hard time talking about it. Everything I talk about on this channel comes from real experiences as a father. I use real examples that I've been through to explain topics and points on this channel, figuring things out in real time without a roadmap. And if this is something that you felt, I'd like to hear about your experiences. Please drop them in the comments and share them in the community posts, because there's real value in hearing how other fathers have worked through something like this, because life isn't hacked, it's built. And I'll see you in the next one.